So in the question, element Z is in the same group as of periodic table of A. So A, and already we identify A is in group 1 element, or A is a group 1 element. How we identify A is a group 1 element? Because it contains 1 electron in the outermost shell. And I mentioned Z is less reactive than A. So if element is less reactive in group 1, it should be above or up. If it is more reactive, then it should be down. So A is what? When you check the periodic table, the proton number 11 is actually sodium. So sodium or Na is there, which is atom proton number 11. Now, what should be Z? Which element is there when you check the periodic table? If A is sodium, what is Z? The element above sodium in group 1, that is lithium, Li. So you will state the identity of element Z. So identity of element Z is lithium. Then the last part, C is unreactive. Use information from the table to explain why. C does not react or C is unreactive. What is the reason for that? Yeah, that's right, because it has complete outer shell, or it has completely filled outer shell. That's why it is unreactive or does not react. In part C, the element Z is in the same group of a periodic table as A. So Z and A are in the same groups. So which group A belongs to? A belongs to group 1. How we identify? Because there is 1 electron in the outermost shell. So A belongs to group 1. And for group 1, as we go down the group, their reactivity increases. Group 1 become more reactive as we go down the group. So they mention Z is less reactive. So if Z is less reactive, so means Z should be above A, not below A. And what is A? Already you will use a periodic table. You can identify the element with the proton number 11. That element is sodium. So basically A is sodium. Which element is above sodium? When you check the periodic table, you will find lithium is above sodium. So what is that element Z? Element Z is lithium. Is it clear? Okay, new topic, that is chapter 10, metals and extraction. This is very important topic. Metals and how we can extract these metals. For this, you have to again recall the reactivity series of the metal, like potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron. So these are the elements in the series. So you have to write first these elements in order.
Sir, shouldn't we first know the metal reactions?
No, first we should learn the reactivity series because there are many things related to this series. And I discussed this series in electrolysis topic. So here it's about the metal, so that's why I will not include hydrogen and carbon in this series. So in this series, this is a reactivity series of the metal. As we go down in this series, the reactivity decreases. And more reactive metals tend to lose electron easily and form stable compounds. So the more reactive metal tend to they lose electron easily, they can lose electron easily and they will form stable compound. What does it mean? Like if I say which compound is more stable, when I use the term stability, by applying a heat energy, can I decompose or chemically change the compound? So if I have potassium oxide and I have copper oxide, which one you think is more stable? Which compound is more stable or which oxide is more stable? Potassium oxide or copper oxide? So the more reactive metal, they turn to lose electron easily and form a stable compound. So which is more stable? So more reactive metal, their compounds are stable. But if I ask the same question, if I say I have potassium and I have copper, which is more stable? Potassium or copper? Less reactive metals are more stable. So more reactive metal, their compound are stable. Less reactive metal, their atomic state or metal form is more stable. So when we say stability of the compound, as we go down this series, the stability of the compound decreases. The compound becomes less stable. And when we check the stability of the metal, so as we go down in this series, what we observe the stability of the metal increases. The metal become more stable, but the compound become less stable. Is it clear? The first thing you should understand the concept that this is the reactivity series of the elements which you will learn throughout the course, the metals specifically. As we go down in this series, the reactivity decrease. Reactivity refers to tendency to lose electron. Because metal react by losing electron. So potassium tend to lose electron much quicker as compared to other metals in this series. So three things are there. One is stable reactivity. What is the reactivity refers to? Reactivity refers to tendency to lose electron. So in this series, potassium tend to lose electron much more easily, or it can react much faster as compared to sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, lead, copper, mercury, silver, gold, and platinum. But stability of a compound, as we go down the group, the stability of the compound decreases. The compounds are less stable. Like when I compare the stability of potassium carbonate with copper carbonate, which compound is more stable? Potassium carbonate is more stable. So more reactive metal, their compounds are more stable. But when I compare the metals, the stability of the metals, so which metal is more stable, which metal does not tend to react? So copper does not tend to react easily as compared to that of potassium. Any doubt in this? Copy this part. With cold water here refers to not a refrigerated water, it's normal water at room temperature refers to cold water. Cold water and steam. So the reactivity series potassium, sodium, and calcium, they can react with water, and as a result, they react with both cold water and steam, and give water give means make the solution alkaline, or give metal hydroxide. Metal hydroxide and hydrogen. This is a result of reaction with cold water or steam. So as a result, what they will give? They will give metal hydroxide and hydrogen. Example, if I have potassium, so potassium is added to water, H2O. What it gives, potassium will displace the hydrogen. It's potassium hydroxide, KOH plus hydrogen. What is the observation when this reaction occurs? What I will observe? So fizz, bubbles, or effervescence because there is a gas given off. Same thing, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, and iron. They are flames because of highly reactive potassium. If magnesium, zinc, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, or iron are there, so they can react only with steam. So they react with steam only and give metal oxide plus hydrogen. So that's the difference here. They can only react with steam. They cannot react with cold water. And as a result, they give metal oxide and hydrogen. So if I have magnesium and I react with steam, the formula for steam is same as formula of the water. But what will be the result? Result will not be magnesium hydroxide. It will be magnesium oxide plus hydrogen. And the last elements, lead and below, they are unreactive, no reaction with water or steam. So it does not react neither with water nor with steam. So again, it is according to the reactivity. So potassium, sodium, calcium, they react with both cold water and steam. Magnesium till iron, they can only react with cold water. They can only react with steam, no reaction with cold water. And the least reactive elements such as lead, copper, mercury, they don't react with neither with water. No, both it will form metal hydroxide even with cold water or with steam, both cases. So reaction with acids such as potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, and lead. These elements, they can react with both concentrated and dilute acids, and as a result, they give salt and hydrogen. But the least reactive metal, they can react with concentrated acids only. And concentrated acids are not used in the lab because they are highly corrosive. So can react with concentrated acids only. The product, like example, if I say I have calcium and I add hydrochloric acid. So calcium plus hydrochloric acid, calcium is more reactive, so it will displace this. So it will form calcium chloride. How I'll write CaCl2 plus hydrogen gas will be H2. Then we will balance this equation. Calcium is group 2, so plus 2, and chlorine is group 7, so it will be minus 1. So if it's a hydrochloric acid, it will give a chloride salt. If it is sulfuric acid, it will give sulfate salt. If it is nitric acid, then it will give nitrate salts. So if you want to prepare a sulfate salt, we prefer hydrochloric acid. If you want to prepare nitrate salt, we prefer nitric acid. And if you want chloride salts, we prefer hydrochloric acid. Next is method of extraction from oxides. So the method or a technique of extraction of metal, method of extraction of metal from its oxide. So which technique, which method can be used? So again, you have to write first the reactivity series, which is, but this time we have potassium oxide, sodium oxide, calcium, because we are extracting from their oxides. Oxide, magnesium oxide, aluminium oxide, zinc oxide, iron oxide, lead oxide, copper oxide, mercury oxide. Normally, gold and platinum oxides are not existent, so still silver oxide. These are the oxides of the metals. So the technique which we can use till aluminium we can do electrolysis of molten oxide. The technique which we use to extract the metal from its oxide. How we can separate the metal from its oxide? By electrolysis of molten oxides. So we'll take a molten, we'll take an oxide in a molten state and we'll do electrolysis. Example, I want to separate aluminum and oxygen from each other, or magnesium and oxygen from each other. So I will do electrolysis. I will take an electrolytic cell. This electrolytic cell, which has two electrodes, anode and cathode. I'm not drawing in detail, like just mentioning the points. So one is positive, another one is negative. So when we'll make a molten oxide, so such as like calcium oxide or magnesium oxide. So calcium oxide means it will have calcium ion and it will have oxygen ion. Oxygen ion attracted towards anode and calcium ion attracted towards cathode. So if we do electrolysis of the molten compounds or molten oxides, we can separate the metal from its oxide. This technique is used for more reactive metals, but for less reactive metals such as zinc, iron, lead, and copper, the technique which we use, we can heat by reacting with carbon monoxide or coke. Coke means the carbon. So carbon monoxide or coke, we can heat with carbon monoxide or coke, we'll separate the metal from its oxide. So example, if we have zinc oxide, so what I can do, I can react this zinc oxide with carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide has a tendency to remove oxygen, or we call that as a reducing agent. The substance which has tendency to remove oxygen from a compound, we call that substance as a reducing agent. So carbon dioxide is a good reducing agent. So it has tendency to take out oxygen from the other substance. So it will form zinc plus carbon dioxide.
Sir, can't we just thermally decompose the less reactive oxides?
Less reactive oxides, mercury and so on, like mercury and silver, you can thermally decompose, but not till copper. Thermal decomposition is not possible. They are still enough stable so that they remain as oxide. But for the least reactive metal, how we can extract? We extract by roasting or heating metal oxide. So if you have a mercury oxide, so what I will do, I will simply heat this mercury oxide. So when I supply the heat energy to this mercury oxide, the mercury metal is separated and oxygen is separated. But this technique, because I told you in the beginning that the less reactive metals, their compounds are less stable. So if their compounds are less stable, then it can easily decompose. So by thermal decomposition or simply by roasting, we can supply a heat energy to that compound so that it will decompose into metal and oxygen. So these are the three techniques which can be used. Look, electrolysis can be used for all, but we prefer for more reactive metal because electrolysis will increase the extraction cost or cost to extract the substance. Extraction of metal, so more reactive, we use electrolysis. These moderate in reactivity, we heat with carbon